Hi everybody, welcome to Now You're Cooking and another demo. It's Thursday night and tonight we're making pasta puttanesca. Coming up next week, Mike is going to be here. He's going to be talking about some of his favorite gadgets from the gadget wall. The week after that, I'm going to be making two different types of hummus, a regular sort of traditional hummus and also a beet hummus, which can't be beat. And then on Saturday, the 1st of October, it is Maine Craft Weekend. Bath is one of the host cities for Maine Craft Weekend. So we're going to have our friend Steve from the Greek Vampire here. He's going to be doing a tasting, and we're actually going to make some garlic bread with this tonight, so you can check that out. The week after that, on the 8th, Saturday the 8th of October, is Autumn Fest here in Bath. There's going to be tons of stuff happening downtown, and here in Now You're Cooking, we're going to have a big Le Creuset sale. It's going to be at least 20% off all Le Creuset items. So you'll want to come check that out. Great for yourself if you had your eye on something. Also great for Christmas presents, as I hate to say it, but Christmas is coming up. Meanwhile, let's get going on the Puttanesca. So there's lots of stories about how the name of this pasta dish came about. One is that the ladies of the night made this because it's so aromatic it would draw in their gentlemen callers. I prefer to think that it's just a really inexpensive meal to make. It's super flavorful, but you're not buying veal or, really expensive stuff, truffles and so on. It's all stuff that most people would have in their pantries anyway. So it's not like you have to go out special shopping for most people. Well, some people. I mean, some people don't have anchovies and capers. But it's a very inexpensive, super flavorful meal. You can make a ton of it and feed a lot of people for very little money. So let's get started. So I've got a pot here. I have water boiling, which I'm going to pop my pasta into in just a minute as soon as it's really rolling. I'm using a shallow pan. The recipe does say a large pot, but I'm actually, after reading a bunch of stuff, I'm using a shallow pan so that it's more starchy in case we need that water to help thicken the sauce. A. B. It will keep some of the starch on the pasta, which helps the sauce stick to it, because it's not like a thick glutinous sauce for the most part. So we'll get to that in just a sec. But first, I have a hot pan, and I'm going to add some olive oil. As per usual, I'm not really measuring anything. This is our Greek Ariston refill bottle. Awesome stuff. Nice extra virgin olive oil from the Kalamata area of Greece, and it is delicious. We sell tons of it. So, and I'm just going to get the bottom of my pan covered here. So I started with a hot pan, then put in oil, let the oil heat up, and then I'm going to add my onions. The recipe calls for one medium onion. This was or a small onion. This was sort of a large onion because I can't help myself, and I have a tendency, as many of you know, to add extra of stuff. In fact, I'm doubling up on a lot of my ingredients here today because, for example, the recipe calls for 3 to 6 fillets of anchovy. Well, I had a whole can of anchovies. What am I going to do with the rest of it? So I'm going to throw that in. By the way, this is not going to be super fishy. People that don't like anchovies, don't be afraid. The anchovies add a really umami flavor. Since there isn't really any meat, there's no beef or turkey or any ground meat going into this, so you really get a lot of the flavor from the anchovies, and it adds a lot of the salty flavor. I had a jar of capers that was about a half a cup, so instead of a quarter cup, I'm putting in a half a cup. Again, the beauty with this recipe is you don't really have to follow the recipe as long as, things are going in more or less the right order. Even that probably doesn't matter that much. You just want to make sure that it's flavorful and it's going to please a lot of people. So my water's boiling. So this is a 1 pound bag of linguine. And I'm going to slide that right in here. And I am going to keep an eye on this. I want to stir it occasionally because I don't want it to stick to each other. I'm not putting any oil in the pan into the water, which a lot of people do. If you do that, it coats the pasta, then the pasta sauce doesn't stick very well. So I don't oil my pasta water, although some people do. And again, I just want to make sure it's not all going to be sticking together. So we're going to keep an eye on that. And spaghetti linguine, usually most pastas cook about 9 to 12 minutes, depending on how you like them done. You can do it by what it says on the package, but most dry pasta cooks in about 9 to 12 minutes. You know, the smaller egg noodles, things like that, take 4 to 5 minutes, the thinner stuff, but this is going to take about 10 minutes. So I should probably look at the clock so I know. Here's my garlic, again, about twice as much as called for. And I'm just going to smash it with the side of my knife, which is going to release a lot of the oils and flavors. You can chop it if you want to. I'm not going to bother. This is going to get out a lot of the flavor as is. And it's going, it's not like you're going to get a huge piece of garlic and it's going to gross you out, because if you're using this much garlic, you're probably okay with all that garlic. Again, I'm just going to let that saute just a little bit. So I just waited for my onions to start browning and start turning translucent. Then I added my garlic, and now I'm going to add my chopped up anchovies. Again, super flavorful sauce here. Made a big pot of this for some friends a couple of weekends ago, and it was just great. It was so easy. I got the sauce done early, so I got to sit and enjoy my friends instead of standing in the kitchen cooking while everybody else was in the other room having fun. And when you're having a dinner party, you really want to hang out with your dinner guests. All right, let's give this a little stir here. This is linguine. This is imported from Italy. It's a product that we get from Stonewall Kitchens. Really nice pasta we have. This is the linguine. We also have a spinach fettuccine and a whole wheat spaghetti, which are both very good as well. And as well as some other extruded pastas, like a tortietti and rigatoni and that sort of thing. So this is coming along nicely. You can see it's sizzling. Smells good. You want to let that garlic cook a little bit more. You just keep a little stir on it, especially if you have the heat turned up. And because I crushed the garlic, it's also breaking up as I'm stirring it, so the pieces aren't quite as huge. If you prefer to chop it, by all means chop it, or mince it, or leave it out altogether if you want to. I don't recommend that, but to each his own. I've got some dried oregano. I'm going to pour that in. I've got my capers. These are the small capers, not the big caper berries. Make sure you use the capers. And I have Kalamata olives. My favorite are actually the cured Greek olives, the dry cured olives. Couldn't find any. These work just as well. Again, if you prefer green olives, use green olives. Don't use the ones with the pimentos in them. But you can use pretty much anything you want. And then I have a 28-ounce can of chopped tomatoes. You can use fresh tomatoes if you want to, but you're probably going to want to skin them if you do that. And this is all going to just stir up together. Give my pasta another little stir. Got about 5 minutes left on the pasta. And I'm going to turn the heat up a little bit because I want this sauce to cook. I want it to cook down a little bit so it thickens just a little bit, so it's not quite as watery. pasta looks good. And then let's move over to our garlic bread. So I am using some Greek Vampire Scortalia. It's a new product we started carrying. It's basically raw garlic, malt vinegar, lemon juice, Maine sea salt, and breadcrumbs, white breadcrumbs to keep it thick. I melted some butter and I added some of the olive oil. Greek, they go together beautifully. And I'm just going to put this in on each. Exact amounts, I don't know. Use your eye. And this is going to be very garlicky, so you want to make sure everybody in the household is eating it. And I was a little too liberal at the beginning, so this end is going to have a little bit less. But if you don't use the Greek Vampire, at least, you know, use some fresh garlic, but I really recommend mixing it with the butter and olive oil. Just gets a really nice, gives it a super duper flavor. Look at that, perfect amounts there. Okay, and then I'm just going to drizzle this lightly, and I'm going to sprinkle just a little bit of salt on there. Okay, so then the next important thing is to make sure that your foil is folded up so you don't get leaks in the oven. And you can leave a little bit of air at the top if you want to, but you don't need to. And fold that over, and that's going to go into an oven at 350, 375, somewhere around there for while you're cooking your pasta. It doesn't have to be in there super long because the butter's all melted, the oil's all melted. You really just want to heat up the bread and kind of cook that garlic into it a little bit. So that's quick and easy. This is a fantastic dinner to make on a weeknight. You get home from work, you're tired, you don't really feel like cooking. I mean, you can see how quickly we're throwing this together. The only prep I did besides putting things in bowls, I think, was to chop up the onions and the olives. Pretty much everything else is done for you, and the anchovies. All right, so this is looking pretty good. I'm going to give it maybe another minute or two, or maybe I'm not. It looks pretty good, actually. I'll give it one more minute, and that'll let this cook up. So, and what I often do is I toss, I'm going to drain my pasta. I'm going to actually, often I'll just put it right into the sauce. If you don't want to do that, if you're not sure that you're going to eat all of the pasta, you can serve up the pasta and then just put a scoop of sauce on top of it. Either way, we're very open-minded here. All right, let's turn off the fettuccine or the linguine. Pour that in here, and I am reserving the liquid for two reasons. One, I don't want to go all the way over to the sink with this, but also in case I want to use some of the pasta water to thicken my sauce. If I put it all down the sink, obviously I can't use it. Go on, baby. Okay, we'll shake the water out of there. Ooh, getting all fogged up. Okay. So in an ideal world, I'd probably let this cook down for maybe another 5 minutes or so. And although our world here at Now You're Cooking is ideal in many ways, I am going to serve this out like so, and yeah, that's cooking out nicely. I don't think I'm going to add any pasta water to that. I think it's good as is. And I'm going to take a nice spoonful on there, sure I get a little of the liquid. And we're gonna put some fresh parsley on that. And we're gonna grate some aged Parmesan cheese. And I have my cheese and my tool in the wrong hands. Oh yeah, look at that. Yum, yum, yum. That looks awesome. So there we go. Serve that with the garlic bread, maybe a nice salad, something delicious for dessert if you want. And you have got pasta puttanesca and a delicious, super quick, super easy, super inexpensive meal. Hope you enjoy it, and we will see you next week for Mike and his favorite gadgets.